Welcome back. This is actually not commentary this time. You might have already noticed that from my intro, but this is actually a new section or a new type of content that I'm establishing on my channel right now, and that is RouteReview. I want to say something about that real quick. I'm only gonna do it in this episode because this one is the first one. It's not the first I recorded, but it's the first one that will be uploaded on my channel. And it has been brought to my attention that like a lot of Otome games, also some that I've covered, are not actually in favor of content on YouTube. And I want to actually apologize for doing that then. I have since have heard of it completely ceased to release content on these Otome, or like actually in general I have reviewed my content on my channel. I have ceased to publish stuff like this. So I have racked my head and looked at options to still discuss these things, because I still want to like have my reactions on this channel about this content. Wait, let me backtrack a bit. So I started, like, I think it's about a year ago now, I started Olympia Soiree, for example. It's made by Otome, I think, or something similar, but I think that's the studio, and they're like absolutely against showing any of their content, which I can understand. It's like reading a book, and sure, there are different reactions. That's how I actually excused myself for doing it in the past, but I will cease it now. You have different reactions and like different decisions, but it's still kind of, I see their points anyway. So I have not published any more episodes. I might actually take mine down that I have already published on my channel. So if you can find them, that's why. So, and that also goes for all the other Otomes that I will cover from now on, I guess. Anyway, the only content that I will continue to cover is stuff that's free, so you can just get it for yourself. So I actually don't see the point in, you know, not covering it, because everybody can just go out and try it anyway. So that includes demos and just free visual novels and free Otomes that you can just get on Steam for nothing, right? I still hope you will continue to support those, even if they're free. You can do that usually on Patreon, etc. I have also put, like, in general in my videos now, a lot of links and like disclaimers to please support the games, because I think that reflects more of what I want to do and what I want to spread now. Anyway, back to the topic of this video. That's the explanation how all of this came to be. But this is a route review, so this is what I will do now. I will now play Otomes that do not are not part of a demo or not freely available in these route reviews. So I will just play a route, and then I will just tell you something about the character and the route. I will try to do it spoiler free, or at least make a disclaimer at the end before I start to go into spoilers. I have tried to kind of put these into categories, even though I don't really like to puzzle everything up, so it will definitely overlap, but I will try to kind of go into characters and dynamics with like the love interest or the LI and the main character, so the MC. And I will also go into, I think, probably a few infos about how spicy or sweet the stuff is, and yeah, and just general stuff that I think would be interesting for somebody checking out the review of a route. Anyway, I'm gonna do these one at a time, except for today actually. But I'm gonna come back to that soon. I'm just gonna go into my impressions before I started the route, if that's possible. In this case it is. And then I'm gonna go over my thoughts during the route, so I have taken notes, and kind of like what my thoughts are after it, because of course I have finished it by the time I make the video. And when I finished all the routes, then I will go back and review the whole game. So these are the things and videos that you can expect from me regarding dating sims and Otome from now on. Alright. So, let's start with the very first game that I have covered for the review. As nobody is surprised, it's gonna be Olympia Soiree, because that's what I already said in this video. I have started playing Olympia Soiree last year. I have started with Riku, Some of you might have seen these episodes, but I couldn't remember enough to actually do a review. So when I went on vacation, I decided to replay Riku and then finish the game like one route at a time, right? Okay, so let's start with Riku. As I said, I'm not gonna spoil stuff, at least like not in this part of the review. I'm gonna try to keep it as spoiler free as possible, but I wanna, as I said, tell you a bit about my impressions. Okay, so Riku is of the blue, as you probably know already. Before I start Riku, I wanna say something. I have already played Riku, Yosuga, Tokisara, and I have just started Kuroba. Well, Kuroba doesn't really count. I have not even finished this first chapter, I think. But yeah, so in my vacation I did all three. So these like my opinions right now are not completely fresh. I will try to do that differently in other routes, but this is just a little disclaimer, I guess. My notes are fresh though. I take them while I play. So let's get into it. Let's first look at Riku's character. I will just talk about the stuff that happened in the common route right now. So before you actually start his route, he's a stern and strong character, easily flustered. He's also racist. This is something that you just have to deal with if you start his route. Again, these are my notes for the common route. He is absolutely dishonest about his feelings. And he's easily offended. He is also stubborn, and the dynamic between him and the MC is, well, they bicker a lot. He wants to protect her, which is pretty clearly presented, and the sad part is he even wants to do that against her will, and even sometimes against her well-being or like benefit. Like the stuff she wants to do, he will prevent if he sees it as unnecessary or potentially harmful, even when the risk reward is definitely in her favor. Long story short, he's very overprotective. You can already see from what I'm saying, it has the potential to be really regressive, the relationship between them, and he's absolutely conservative. So yeah, I'm now gonna go, like, not really in spoilers yet. I'm not gonna say anything about the route itself. I will probably like right at the end, but like for now there's like nothing about what's happening or what happened in detail. When you go into his route, it's kind of what you expect, or what I expected at least. I liked the first misunderstanding. Again, I'm not gonna say what it is, but it was pretty cute. I mean, it doesn't really make sense for the reader, but I'm gonna come back to that later when I go more into details. I have to say it got a little bit uncomfortable to read his route, or like the misunderstanding, the second one, but it still wasn't that bad because he also apologized. And yeah, I'm easily swayed like that. Anyway, back to his character. He is again very, very flustered. He also can be overly mean, so I guess you have to brace a little bit for that. But he's doing it because of his own feelings, and yeah, I guess the problem is he holds her in a little bit too high of a regard, but that's already clear from his first encounter, so I don't see that as a spoiler. Overall, I have to say I liked his route a lot, except for a few meh moments, is how I call them. Yeah, it was much more pleasant than I expected, not gonna lie. At parts, their dynamic or like their relationship seemed so healthy that Otome or whoever wrote this actually had to make up a flimsy plot, so there's some drama. And I'm not even kidding, like they could be so healthy, it's just the plot just strays a bit. Yeah, I'm just gonna, it's not a trigger warning, but I'm gonna put a little warning here. And it is that you kind of have to brace for friend zoning, and I really didn't like that too. I thought it was a bit stupid, but whatever, that's just my pet peeve. For their dynamic, they start off on the wrong foot, but they have great care for each other, and I really like that. When it becomes more personal between them, the more understanding they have for the other person, their relationship is really beautiful then. And what I really liked about this dynamic or this relationship was that they actually make each other grow. They are like really good influences on each other. The thing is, now I'm gonna go into a little bit more spoilers, so If you already heard enough, just be off, just don't watch this, but I'm gonna go into more stuff. Again, I'm not gonna spoil what happens, but yeah. The complex that Riku carries basically until the end is a bit annoying, especially in scenes when it's just getting good, you know. I also really dislike that he, like, the MC also says this, so technically it is addressed in the novel, but, well, it still really annoyed me. Riku always tells others stuff first, especially when it's important, instead of actually talking to the main character, and I really dislike that. Yeah, I think what was pretty well handled was there was a lot of stuff in this story that really annoyed me. Like I already mentioned, there's like friendzoning and stuff. But the thing is, like, everything that happened, every misunderstanding, every problem, usually, yeah, I think every time, I'm not sure if it was every time, but I think it was, Riku actually apologized for it. And he did it in a way that made it believable, that he was actually regretful and he learned from it. So every time I just accepted the apology and forgave him for it. Also, every time something happens that I disliked, I'm just gonna say Shura, and I think you will know. I actually really like the clapbacks and how people defended themselves and what was said. It was really good. Every time I got upset and then I got to see the end result and I was like, okay, I will allow it. Yeah, so it was a really dramatic route. It had a lot of, like, I don't want to say flip-flopping because that sounds like it's bad, because it wasn't. I actually kind of liked how Riku relapses once in a while, because I think it's just hard to change, because there's stuff deep in him. He lived his life in a certain way with certain beliefs, and it's really hard to dismantle them. So I can definitely see how people really dislike this character because of his relapses, but I thought they're actually really well handled. So want to just drop Adoma being a sudden wingman, like out of nowhere. It just had me laughing, but well, also Riku was really stun-locked in that Ishanatan trial. I already talked about not liking his complex, so I don't have anything else to add to this. Oh yeah, I guess one last part was I talked about that the first misunderstanding doesn't make sense for the reader because I'm now gonna go into detail on this. I'm not gonna spoil what it is exactly, but the thing is the reader can see something in the CG, and I guess Olympia or the main character can't. So it's kind of confusing, but it's understandable. They wanted to give us a good CG. Yeah. Alright, I think these are all my thoughts about Riku for now. So let's go into the rating. Okay, so as you have already heard, I was pretty happy with Riku. I would say, again, I had some pet peeves, but all of them kind of were apologized for, or like I forgave him for. The Rook was pretty well structured and written, and I don't know, I don't have that many complaints actually. I don't really have any. Yeah, I guess it just didn't, it was pretty close. Let's say that. It was pretty close to being perfect, but it didn't really make the cut. I'm still really happy with him. So I think I'm gonna put him in a happy couple. Because I just don't have that certain, like, oh my god, I wanna read him again, I wanna see him again. I really liked it, but I don't have to spend every life that I will ever live in my fictional world with him. I was really happy to experience him though, and I was also happy to do it a second time. I'm happy that I replayed it, and maybe I'm gonna do that sometime again, but I'm usually not the person to do that really. So yeah, they are a really happy couple. I would be a really happy couple with him, and yeah, it was a nice story. I liked it.